Hey guys, Courtney Adams with Gather with Purpose podcast here. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you are ready to dig in, fill up, and get going. All right, so for this episode today, it is part 3 in what I really had no idea would be kind of a 3-part podcast. So if you have not listened to episode 6 or episode 7, you might not get the full effect of this episode. This episode is meant to really encourage you with 6 and 7 in mind. So I do want to challenge you to go back and listen to both of those. They are right at 30 minutes each, and hopefully an easy listen for you and something that really encourages you to step out. So before we jump in, I want to read a quote by Einstein. So today we are going to talk about going against the grain, how to be authentic and to confidently do what you have been called to do is kind of our idea for today. And Einstein said, the person who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The person who walks alone is likely to find himself in places no one has ever seen before. So I want you to kind of chew on that for a couple minutes, and I'll repeat it because it bears repeating. The person who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The person who walks alone is likely to find himself in places no one has ever seen before. And that is by the infamous Albert Einstein. So before we get going, I just want to remind you guys where you can find Gather with Purpose and myself. So on Rumble and YouTube, have Gather with Purpose podcast channel on both places. They are named just that. So you can subscribe to both, either one. They are both free for you to join and be a part of. Super easy to use, and you can find them there, and you can also share them from there, which I would love for you to share. I am also a national leader with Mary and Martha, which is a direct sales company underneath Dayspring. And you can find me on mymaryandmartha.com/CAdams, CADAMS. I also have a website that you can subscribe to. It is free. I will not spam you every day, and really once a week is about as much as you're going to get from me. I'm also not one to write 20-minute long blogs just so you have to dig through them to find ingredients to a recipe that you love. Anybody else ever been there? Anyways, my site to subscribe to is just CourtneyInAdams.com. I will put all of these links in the information with the podcast so you can easily find them. And I would love for you to share them with anybody that you think could really benefit from the podcast or the site, or even Mary and Martha. I would love for you to share that one as well. All right, so let's dig in. In a world driven by culture, let's gather with purpose and focus on that which matters most. Join me each week for what's new, a different perspective, encouraging outreach, and what is real. This is not your everyday podcast. I will promise you this. I will show up to challenge you, encourage you, help you grow, and break free of culture. So let's gather with purpose for today. Again, our idea and our topic for today is going against the grain. How to be authentic, how to confidently do what God has called you to do. For me, that is going against the grain. In our previous episode, I talked about swimming upstream in a waterfall culture, and you're probably thinking, how are these two things different? And honestly, I had to spend some time on this. I think the previous one is really trying to figure out what makes you jump in that river that's rushing because of the waterfall that's pouring over the mountain. Why are you going to jump in and swim upstream? This one, we're going to talk about how to do it. How to be authentic and confident. Where are you getting influenced? Are you finding your tribe? so on and so forth. And we're also going to go back to episode 6, where I talked about being the change you wish to see in the world. That is a phrase that is completely overused and totally cliche, because lots of people love to say it, but nobody wants to put the rubber to the road. So I challenged y'all to put some rubber to the road in being the change. Did you know that the word to be is a verb, which means you have to put action behind it? Your mouth flapping is not action, friends. So anyways, episode 6 and episode 7 totally have to do with today's episode, which is episode 8. And then we're going to move on next week with something else that you guys have been asking about. So this is kind of a fun thing to finish out, and then we'll jump into the next topic. So let's get started for today. So last episode, again, we talked about swimming upstream in a waterfall culture, and that is essentially finding out what is going to make you jump in that rushing river, the rushing river being caused by the waterfall over the mountain. It is definitely a metaphor for what our culture has become. I talked about how the news cycle is now about every 6 hours, which is insane. Basically, we can't keep up with it, and you shouldn't try. And that is so true for our everyday culture. You can't keep up with it, and you shouldn't try. So what is going to make you jump in that rushing river and swim upstream against the rushing waterfall of culture coming over that mountain? Today, let's talk about how you're going to do it and why you're going to do it. So I want to ask you this as we get started. What influences you? What are you inundating yourself with mentally and emotionally and physically and spiritually? What are your influences? Because I am here to tell you, whether you want to hear it or not, if you came for a podcast to fluff your butt, you've come to the wrong spot. I am here to tell you that what influences you 100% matters, and you have 2 choices. Are you ready for them? You can be influenced by the world, which will fail you every single time, or you can be influenced by your creator, God. You have 2 choices. So what influences you, friends? Are you leaning into what the world has to offer, and you're finding that you are always let down? You have unrealistic expectations. Your expectations aren't met. You're not getting anywhere. You're feeling frustrated. You seem to always be alone. You have no peace or joy. Fear has set in, and you're confused. Your life seems to be in chaos. Destruction seems to be all around, and you don't know what to do next. Does this describe you? Because if so, congratulations, you have fallen prey to the world. Now, with that said, you're not alone. Every single human being in the history of everdom, from the fall of Adam and Eve, has been influenced by the world. The very first humans on this world were influenced by the world. Okay? That story is in the first book of the Bible, in Genesis. Now, with that said, you have an alternative. You can pick yourself up off of this world, and you can decide to be influenced by God. The best place to start with that is to get a Bible, open a Bible, find a friend that knows a little bit about the Bible, and just start digging in. It really isn't as overwhelming as you might think, and it definitely isn't going to let you down like the world has. The world will fail you every single day in basically every instance. So my question to you again is, what is influencing you? And you're probably thinking, what in the world does this have to do with going against the grain and being authentic and confidently doing what I am supposed to be doing on this earth? Well, how can you know what you are supposed to be doing on this earth if you are only relying on this earth? Can I just tell you that if that's what you're relying on and that's what you're using as your marker for what you're supposed to be doing on this earth, that it will end the minute you die? There will be no eternal value, and there will be no longevity after you are here. And so at that point, there won't be any memory of it. There won't be any long-lasting outreach from it. So at the risk of sounding cocky, what's the point? If you make no difference with eternity in mind, what's the point? There is none. So what influences you? Because your authenticity and your confidence will come from what influences you. 100%. If you are influenced by the world, your confidence will falter at every moment because the world tells us that we are not capable, that we cannot do it, that we fall short, that we aren't doing enough, that we are behind, that we're not able to keep up. All of these highly negative things come from the world. Whereas God tells you that you can do it, that you can also do it with Him, and that He is there to provide peace and joy and comfort and a solid place to land when things get hard, and that He believes in you. The world doesn't tell you it believes in you. They don't. They don't want to, because that means competition. And the things of this world don't like competition. They are jealous in all the wrong ways. I want you to jump in that rushing river that's come from the waterfall, screaming over the side of the mountain. I want you to jump in that rushing river, swim upstream for the thing that really just makes you excited, or that sticking point that really gets under your crawl. I want you to jump in there and swim upstream for it with confidence and authenticity. So how do we do that? We do that when we know that what we are allowing in our lives are things that will have eternal value. To be authentically you doesn't come from you. And it took me a long time to figure that out. To be authentically me does not come from me, myself, and I, because me, myself, and I fails me every day. Every day. Thank goodness for grace. To be authentically me comes from leaning into the only person that knows me better than myself. And there's only one. It's not my husband. It's not my children. It's not my parents. But it is my Creator. Y'all, He tells us that He can count the hairs on our head. You can't count the hairs on your child's head. Let's be real honest. I can't. I'm not about to try. And I am not arrogant enough to say that I can. Let's just get that right out of the way. I am not the same type of parent that He is. Nor are you. I cannot confidently and authentically go and be who I am or know who I am without Him. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. Mic drop. So how will you be authentically who you are with confidence if you are living in the world? You won't. And you can't. And you'll be beaten down every single time. If we want to go against the grain, we have to get outside of the world. We have to stop living in the world, for the world, and of the world. To go against the grain means we are doing things so opposite of what the world is doing that it is noticed. That we are now no longer a part of the world. That we stand out. We look different. We act different. We feel different. We handle things differently. To go against the grain is visible to those around us. And we have to do it confidently. And we have to do it authentically. And it's going to be really uncomfortable. And you're going to be alone sometimes. You might not find your tribe right away, and you might find your tribe and lose your tribe. That's the story of my 2020. Let me just be real honest. But that doesn't mean you give up. It's easy to give up, to throw our hands up, to walk away, to say enough's enough. I can't do this. I'm done. If we are living in, of, and for the world. Because the world gives up on us every day. They aren't here for us. They don't care about us. They don't even know we are here. We wouldn't even be missed. But that's not how it works if we are in our Creator and we are here for our Creator and we are of our Creator. There is such a difference. And whether you're new to Christianity and believing in something bigger than you, or you're not, and you're thinking I'm preaching at you, please know that I am not. I am 100% here to encourage you to get out of the world. It is not a good place to be. I have been there. I haven't always believed in Jesus. I haven't always thought that he was here for me. It wasn't until my mid-20s. And so for more of my life than not, I was a non-believer. But let me tell you, when I didn't believe and I lived in, of, and for the world, life was so hard. So hard. It had no joy. It had no peace. It was pure chaos. There was lots of destruction. I mean, my past will make you spin your head and wonder why in the world. And it was because it was of this world. Guys, if we want to make a difference, if we want to stand out, not for notoriety purposes, I have no desire to be known, and a lot of y'all don't. But if we want to make a difference, like we talked about in the last episode with regards to families and marriages and mental health and children, we cannot hang out in this world, because this world tells us that marriages are declining and the divorce rate is an all-time high. The world tells us that the family unit no longer matters and that it's not a big deal that it doesn't matter. The world tells us that our children are fine and they need to be educated on adult-only topics at the age of kindergarten and first grade. The world tells us that mental health can be cured with a pill, and just a pill, and that you should just stay medicated all day long. That's what the world tells us. And I'm not here to say, so for the love, please do not put words in my mouth. I am not here to say that getting help for an issue with a medicine is wrong. Nope, that is not what I said. So if you took that from that, that's on you. You made that choice. Just know that. But what I am saying is that the world wants you to rely on it solely and only to fix, quote unquote, the problems, when the world is the one that caused the problem. Why are we relying on something to fix our problems when they're the ones that caused it? This is not being in and of and for the world, is not how you go against the grain. It's not how you stand out. It's not how you get your topics heard. It's not how you share your passion. It's not how you confidently enter each day knowing that you can make a difference in your children, your family, and your marriage and yourself. It's not how you cling to being authentically you. None of those things will ever get accomplished. Your passion, your drive to make a difference in your home and with yourself and with your spouse. None of those things will ever be made different. They will never have the desired outcome if you continually stand within the world, for the world, and of the world. You also will wander every day without confidence and wonder who you are supposed to be, what you are supposed to be doing, and what this is all supposed to look like. to go against the grain, to swim upstream, to be the change, it has to look different. And if the majority of people are living in the world, guess what your other option is? Your other option is God. Your other option is getting out of this world and living for something bigger than yourself. Because if it hasn't worked while you've been in the world, let's try something else. What do you have to lose? If you don't do it, you have all of eternity. If you do it, you've got nothing to lose because you'll have eternity. That is huge. I'm not willing to risk that. Are you? I sure hope not. I want to challenge you to really sit down and think about what influences you. Make a list. Take a piece of paper, write down the top 10 things that influence you. What are the things that you allow into your life every day, without fail, that influence you and that matter to you right now? There's no judgment, no regrets, nothing. Top 10 things that influence you right now in your life. Think about them. Really dig deep. And you might come up with more than 10 things. And that's fine. Keep going until you feel the need to stop. But I want to challenge you to do the top 10 things. And then look at those things. Are they of this world? Are they in this world? Are they for this world? If so, what's the opposite of them that would make them from, for, of, and in God? I really want you to challenge yourself on this because you're worth it. Your eternity is worth it. The strength of your marriage and the family unit, the confidence of your children, and the mental health of you and your child is worth it. Don't let the world influence you. It will fail you every single time. It will also knock you down every single time you try to go against the grain. And to stand confidently, to be authentic to who you think you are, it will destroy you every single time because that's what the world does. They are about chaos and fear and destruction and confusion. You do not have a place in that. The creator of the universe does not have a place for you in that. So don't stand in that. Don't allow that. Stand up, stand tall, be bigger, do better, and say enough is enough. I am going to find my confidence in the things that influence me, and the things that I allow to influence me will not be of this world, so that I can go against the grain, swim upstream in the rushing river against the waterfall of culture, and be the change that I wish to see in the world. I am putting action behind my words, and it's going to look different. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you dug in, filled yourself up, and are ready to get going. Nothing gets done sitting around waiting for others to do it. So let's be the ones that do it. Get it done and do so boldly and authentically. The world needs more of that. Swim upstream in a waterfall culture. To find us, as always, you can do so on YouTube or Rumble. Both are free. You can subscribe to Gather with Purpose podcast channel. I release podcasts every Sunday and Thursday. You can also subscribe to my website, CourtneyNAdams.com. I'll put all the links in the description so you can find them easily. As always, share with a friend, share on social media. Reach out, message, comment, whatever the case may be. I would love to hear your feedback and thoughts from this episode. So drop them in the comments or shoot me a message. You can also find me on my Mary and Martha site. Again, I'll put that link in the comments. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope this challenged you, but I also hope you could feel the encouragement. That is the point. I want to encourage you to be the best version of yourself. And we can't do that if we stay within this world, because the world will always take that away from us. So I want to encourage you, and I want you to know that you can do it. No matter what the world says, you can do it. I am here behind you, And I am telling you that you can do it. You do not have to be of this world, in this world, or for this world to make a difference, to go against the grain, to swim upstream, and to be the change you wish to see. Thanks for joining me on this 3-part podcast series. Next episode, we will jump into something completely new that you guys aren't actually asking about. So join me for episode 9. See y'all later.